This next one is about Elite Dangerous. So we haven't watched an ObsidianAnt video for a while. Braben left Elite, or whatever company they work at, begins with an F, Frontier. And that's kind of crazy. So yeah, let's hear what he has to say about it.
David Braben has left the CEO position of Frontier Developments, but what does this mean for Elite Dangerous? Meanwhile, the next chapter in the Elite storyline, Aftermath, is about to begin. And there's also some new information
David
on
Braben.
the instancing issues between Horizons and Odyssey.
Oh, he's
it
still in the
seems
company.
possible that things are about to get very sticky. So let's jump in and take a look at all of this latest information for Elite Dangerous. So, after very nearly 30 years, David Braben is no longer CEO of Frontier Developments. He's been replaced by former CCO Johnny Watts. Now, David Braben is not leaving Frontier, far from it in fact. He's taken on the position, the newly created position of President. He will also be staying on as a board member.
Hockey does this too. All right, you ready? This is the genius idea that hockey teams did, and GMs of hockey teams. So being a GM is like the person who like trades players and signs players and stuff. And then GMs were constantly getting blamed by their fan base for building a bad team. And the idea behind it was, all right, we're going to call ourselves the president, and then we're going to hire a GM, and that GM is the one who has to take all the heat while we're the one who actually makes the decisions. That's basically what sounds like it's happening here, is everybody blames David Braben for Elite being trash, and now he just put somebody in front to take all the bullets for him.
He's the largest shareholder for the company, so his decision will still carry a lot of weight. The big question then for all us players of Elite Dangerous is, what will this decision mean for our game? Well, that's hard to determine at the moment. After all, David Braben has been very heavily involved in Elite. He created the franchise all the way back in 1984 and has been the head of Frontier ever since Frontier was founded. He was also very much the face of Elite Dangerous ever since it was first announced back in 2012 during the Kickstarter
and he doesn't want to be blamed for its problems.
All the way through to around about 2017, 2018, when he seemed to step back a little bit. That means that over the previous years, it's been a bit of a mystery just how much David is actually involved within the day-to-day and overall arcing decisions of Elite and where it's heading. Of course, if you're to listen to rumours on the internet, then the thoughts on Braben's involvement within the franchise vary wildly. They range from him having no involvement whatsoever, all the way up to micromanaging the entire product from behind the scenes. But that is the nature of internet rumours. The short of it is that no one really knows.
Yeah.
That said, from what little I hear, Braben has still been involved within the decisions for the game up until very, very recently, and may well still be involved as well. But moving on to...
Why do you hate Elite Dangerous so much, Mike? When out of this did I ever say that I hate Elite Dangerous? I don't play Elite Dangerous. I barely know anything about it, but their entire community, all you hear is them complaining about the state of the game and that they're not happy with the current state of the game. I don't know anything about Elite Dangerous. Don't put words in my mouth. I can't stand when people do that stuff. YouTube comments do it. Twitch comments do it. It's super annoying. I did not say I hate Elite Dangerous. Okay? Never did. Anytime I've played it, I've had a decent time in it.
To Johnny Watts. Watts has been involved with Frontier for 20 years now. I believe his origins in the gaming industry started all the way back with Sensible Soccer. But yeah, over the years I've spoken with Johnny Watts quite a few times, and I can say that he has always been very, very passionate about Elite Dangerous. He understands the game and has always been very receptive to feedback. And of course, in his position as the Chief Creative Officer for Frontier, he has been very much involved in pretty much all the games that Frontier put out there.
Sure.
What am I saying here then? Well, I'm by no means saying that David Braben moving away from the CEO position is a good thing for Elite Dangerous, but I'm certainly not saying it's a bad thing either. The bottom line is that I've seen some concerns out there that David moving away from Elite means it's the end for the franchise and that bad things are going to happen. From my experience, I think that will definitely not be the case.
Yeah, like, does anybody feel like Elite's just going to shut its servers down soon? I don't think so, right?
Whether or not you think that is a good thing, well, that is going to be very subjective, and will likely depend upon how you feel things have unfolded and developed over the past few years. Either way, that is the long way of me saying that no, I don't believe this is bad news for the game. Now, moving on. Aftermath is the next big chapter in the Elite Dangerous narrative. The previous chapter, the Azimuth saga, come to a conclusion very recently.
Oh, what? Okay, so I don't know what this is. Is this their like story arc in game?
With the release of Update 13. People will likely be well aware now that this update had quite a dramatic effect on the Thargoids and how they're interacting with players. There's now a very aggressive set of Thargoids within the game, and it's likely this is going to impact the storyline moving forward. Meanwhile, players are finding out other features within the game that were released with the update, specifically relating to
sounds and
Guardian
alerts because everybody was
As
trolling.
I mentioned
Sorry,
in the previous
guys.
video, it seems very likely at this point
that a
new weapons grind is about to begin at some time in the not too distant future. It also seems more than possible that a new type of Thargoids, maybe a Thargoid mothership, or maybe just another type of Thargoid interceptor, is about to also make an appearance very soon.
Okay.
Either way, Frontier have made it clear that the Elite story didn't end with the conclusion of the Azimuth saga, but is going to continue onwards with the Aftermath. And this kind of brings us nice and neatly onto another
I wonder
subject,
what happened with,
and that is
that
Horizons
saga.
4.0. Currently, those of you playing Horizons will be playing on the different version, that's version 3.8. Horizons 4.0, meanwhile, uses the Odyssey codebase. Now, from what I understand, it's this codebase that is dependent, that is required for many of the narrative features that we're now seeing making their way into Elite. Specifically, all the goings-ons within the HIP 22460.
Like, why didn't they push Thargoids more crazy? Like, remember that Reddit post way back in the day? The first person who saw the Thargoid, and like how that completely went off, like just popped off, and everyone was like, "Holy crap!" Like that was so cool. And they didn't even shoot at anybody. It was just like it just scanned the person and then left. Like that was like, first off, insane marketing, and was just wild. And then they never really like built upon that as much. I think they tried where there was some Thargoid type content from what I know, but that was insane. I feel like they never rode that momentum as much as they could have.
Star system. Now for me, right here, I'm really hoping that this new version of the code with Horizons 4.0, which incidentally everyone will have access to very soon, is going to improve the way players can interact with the game.
Okay.
Now, I really don't want this to be a false hope, but it's my hope that the 4.0, the Odyssey codebase, will allow Frontier to deliver new types of scenarios and new ways for players to interact with all of that.
Did they give any
Now this may
examples?
not just be a false hope, because after all, Frontier have hinted, pretty much openly suggested, in fact, that the new code will allow Frontier to do just this. You can see that text on the screen right here. But as with pretty much everything to do with Elite Dangerous,
if Elite hits
there's no way
4.0
of
before
knowing
us,
how this is going to work
what are
from
we gonna
this
do?
particular point. As always, with this type of thing, only time will tell. But do let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below on this particular subject. Do you think that Frontier will introduce new ways of interacting with all the various scenarios with the new codebase changes? Now, there is some more news related to this, and just to recap here, as you may be aware, every current Horizons player is playing on version 3.8. Very soon now, everyone is going to be upgraded to Horizons 4.0. This means if you don't own Odyssey and just currently play Horizons, you're about to choose between the Horizons 3.8 client and the 4.0 client.
Yeah, Elite did not
Today,
hold your hand
Frontier
very much,
revealed
now
a
did
good
it?
bit of information about how this is going to work. Currently, Horizons players cannot instance with Odyssey players, so if you're playing on Horizons 3.8, you won't be able to instance with players who are in Odyssey. This we all hoped was going to change with the release.
How's this story-based content, by the way? Like, if I knew this was in the game, I didn't even know this was a thing. If I knew this was in the game, I might have played it a little bit more. I do find the idea of Aftermath or there being something there kind of cool.
Release of Horizons 4.0, but it turns out this is not going to be the case. The way it's going to work is that none of the different versions, the different client versions, will be able to instance with each other. And that means even if you load up Horizons 4.0, you'll not be able to instance with Odyssey players. This seemed like a very strange move, and the forums did react to it somewhat, and Frontier did clarify their position, confirming that this is exactly how it's going to be. But they didn't explain why the reasons are for this. Some people have speculated that it's down to the PEGI rating for Horizons being different to the PEGI rating for Odyssey. Personally, I'm not convinced of that, and either way, Frontier have not confirmed whether or not this is the case.
No, it's multiplayer? Okay.
Further, Frontier have stated that they will clarify the position and give a bit more information in the coming hours or the coming days. So another post, another bit of information that we should be looking out for, I guess.
Multiplayer with solo mode.
It's a very strange position to be in. After all, a few years ago, as forum member Old Duck pointed out, people were asking for crossplay between consoles and PC. But today, here we find ourselves not even about to crossplay on the same platform. A very, very strange position for an online live service game to be in. We'll see how it goes, I guess. Frontier have said that although this is the current situation, it's not guaranteed that this is the way things will remain, and if things do change, they will let us know. Meanwhile, before we hear all that extra information, do let me know your thoughts and feelings on this in the comments section below. That then brings us to the end of this video. As always, thanks for watching.
Whoa, look at that
I'll catch
ring.
you guys and girls next time.
That's wild. That ring could be its own planet. No, yeah, I don't think Elite's a bad game. I think the thing that I didn't like about it was the way that they did any sort of multiplayer was weird. I mean, why wouldn't you just play solo mode most of the time, right? Like it was, or just like in your own little instanced party. You can make your own like playthrough with nobody else in it, right? So I always found that to be kind of weird, and that's what maybe drew me a little bit more to Star Citizen. That's what I didn't like about No Man's Sky either. But like the co-op was just a little bit messy. But in general, yeah, Brabin leaving, I think it's obvious that hockey scenario that I mentioned earlier. Just she's trying to put somebody else to take the bullets for when the community is mad. He probably doesn't feel like dealing with it anymore. But I didn't know that Elite had this kind of storyline and stuff. I maybe would jump into it. I don't kind of have the time to, but it does sound interesting. At the very least, maybe there's some YouTube video out there that kind of chronologically tells the story. I would love to check that out at the very least. But that's ObsidianAnt. We haven't watched one of his videos for a while, so let me go ahead and copy the URL and post it for you guys. And yeah, thanks for watching. That was cool.